Welcome to Cold Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737-777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 140. And today we're going to talk about the sacrifices for freedom. And the reason why is because, we know freedom isn't free. And, we have to give up in order to go up, right? Even in the Bible, you have to give in order to receive. There's this law of sowing and reaping. And, if you don't sow, you don't reap. It's just simple as it is. And I see so many people oftentimes who they'll say they want more time, but they're not willing to give up time. People who want more income, but they're not willing to give up income. Listen, even the father himself gave up what he wanted. I mean, he gave up his only son so that he could have many sons, right? I'm not here to preach, but hey, that's the Bible, that's the word, and so if that's the case for the Father, the creator of the universe, the creator of all things, right? Always was, always is, and always will be, then why do we think it would not be for us, right? Like we say, oh, I want more money, but I don't want to sow or give any money. I don't want to invest. I just want more money, right? I want more time, but I don't want to give up any time that I have. I'm so busy. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Listen, I found through my years of working with a lot of people that most people are not as busy as they say they are. Like, we have a lot of wasted moments, and I say that in a nice way. I'm not saying that to be mean or anything, but what I'm saying is, if you did an audit of what you do, and I'm not talking about you per se, not no, nobody in the Code Freedom audience. I'm talking about the other people who don't listen to this podcast. But like, seriously, you have the person who, if you were to do a time audit of, like, this, how you do a budget audit to see where you spend all your money. Well, if you did a time audit and just tracked, okay, every hour, what did you do within that hour? I'm sure we would find 45 minutes worth of scrolling here on social media. I'm sure we will find, an hour of watching this TV show, right? That, it may have been entertaining. I'm not knocking that, I'm not knocking, a little bit of entertainment here and there, right? But if we say that we want more time for our family, like we want to spend more time with our kids, we want to spend more time doing certain things, just know that you're going to have to give that up front. Now, it's a short-term thing, though. It's a short-term pain for long-term gain. You've heard me say it before, pay now or play later. But either way, you got to pay. Either you pay up front or you pay on the back end. Why not pay up front so that you can have it on the back end? Why not pay a little bit of money up front so you can have it on the, why not pay a little bit of time up front so you can have it on the back end, right? And this goes in every area. This is also even in relationship. There's give and take, right? Like, sometimes in a relationship, you got to give more than you're able to receive. And I think some people think it should be like, 50-50 situation. I was just listening to one of my mentors' podcasts, and I thought it was so awesome that they were talking about that. And it's true. I've found that to be the case, even in our marriage. There are times where I may have to pick up 80-90%. Because maybe my wife is going through something, right? And I, as the head, as a man, I need to cover her, and whatever. And then sometimes I may have situations where I need her help. You know what I mean? I need her to pull in a little bit more, right? So the point is, you got to have sacrifices. I'll never forget too. Um, you know, I was going for a certain position in my entrepreneurial career, a certain income level. The position would uh, bring a certain income level, right? So I was going for this certain position, and I decided because I've heard my mentors say, "Hey, what are you willing to give up to go up?" Right? And I've heard people who slept. They didn't sleep in their bed because they had this goal, and they said, "Look, I'm gonna sleep on the floor until I hit this goal." And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to be that drastic, right? Because I want to stay married." But you know, what I would say is what I did. Well, actually, I wasn't even married at the time, so I could have did that. I could have done that, but I decided, like for me, what was something that was super, super like would really get me, and I'm a foodie. I like eating, right? But also I love sweets. So and then I'm also a carnivore. I eat some meat, boy. I tell you, right? So I have gotten better with what meat I do eat because I'm always looking at health options. But I do eat meat. And so anyway, point is, back in those days, I decided to give up meat, and it was so crazy because I love meat, right? Like to me, it's like you can't have a meal without meat. That's just, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I know some people, the vegetarians out there, and those folks, you probably like thinking I'm crazy, but for me, a meal is not complete unless there's some meat in it, right? However, I gave up this meat, and I was on my goal to hit this because what I found is it's just like fasting. If you've ever fasted before, when you give up food and you start to fast, what happens is your senses become magnetized. Other senses become stronger because it's just I don't even know how to explain it. It's a spiritual thing, but what I know is you can see things different, you can sense things different, you just feel things different because you're in a certain state, if that makes sense. And so anyway, I was focused. I was giving up the meat, and it was so crazy because I I remember being at a barbecue and I was cooking the meat, folks, on a barbecue grill, and I couldn't even eat it. Can you imagine that? But, I did it. And literally within, I think it was either 2 months or 3 months of me doing that, I ended up hitting the goal. And I was so excited. I was so jacked out of my mind excited about it. And so I only tell you that story because I had to give up something in order to go up, right? I also remember just an example, just giving you guys examples and stories of things that I've done. Um, when I wanted to get married, like I was tired of the whole dating scene. I was looking for a serious person, and and I just wanted the one, right? And so I did a few things. Of course, I had a slideshow, guys, of everything that I wanted to create because I'm really big on attraction and attracting things into your life, right? But that's not what this episode's about, so I won't even go into that. But that is one of the things that I did. The other thing I did though is I'm also big on naming my seed. And so what I did is I would sow when I went to church, and I would write on the envelope what I was writing, what I was believing the Father for, right? What I was believing him for with my extra seed that I would sow. So I would sow, my tithe or whatever I was doing, but then I would sow extra on top of that. And so and I would name that because I believe, truly believe that you can name your seed. So anyway, I would write on the envelope wife, right, and some other things that I was believing for, and so when my wife showed up, we literally dated for 6 months and then ended up getting married, and next month will be our 11th year, right? So go figure. And so I say that to say that I was giving to get, if that makes sense. I was this whole episode today, episode 139 of the Code Freedom podcast, is the sacrifices for freedom. Listen, if you're expecting to have freedom, you got to give up something. There's a reason why most people don't have the freedom that they want. Everybody wants freedom, right? There's this whole great resignation going on, which we need to do an episode on that. So we'll definitely jump on that. But people, everybody wants freedom. Who doesn't, right? Nobody wants to be in a perceived state of bondage or just in bondage. Period. um in bondage to debt, in bondage to an employer, in bondage to a bad relationship that is not serving us well. Nobody wants any of that, right? So we all want freedom, but how many of us are willing to sacrifice? And sometimes you got to sacrifice big. Like, you got to either go big or go home oftentimes, because if it doesn't cost you something. I remember in the Bible where, um don't get me wrong, I didn't even look this up yet, and I'm just going off the top of my head, but I do remember when David said something to the effect of, "If it doesn't cost me, like, it has to cost me." And so he's so big, and the father showed up for him. So, he said, "Look, I'm not going to give something that doesn't cost." He said, I'll find the scripture. Maybe I'll put that in the show notes. But just understand, his whole mindset was, it's got to cost me, right? Because he understood this law of sowing and reaping. He understood that you got to give up to go up. And so I hope you understand it, and I hope you apply it. I hope you take it to heart, and I hope you decide. I'm just curious. Join our Facebook community, the Code Freedom community, and let us know what you're willing to give up, especially going into the new year. And in the new year, what are you going to give up to start to manifest some of the things that you desire? Because, hey, let me just say it this way as I close. Look, we've been doing it one way, and maybe it has or has not worked. So why not try another way and decide what we need to really give up? Like, you get to decide. The only person that can decide that is you. Right? Maybe you'll give up a little bit of sleep. Maybe you'll give up a little bit of radio time to listen to a good audio, or hint hint, a podcast. Right? Maybe you'll give up a little bit of time so you can get more time. Maybe you give up a little bit of income to invest. Whatever it is you decide to give up, just know that you will get the return. Now, it may not come right away, it may not come when you want it, but as long as you consistently and persistently keep on giving and keep on sowing, it has to find its way back to you, because it is a principle in the earth that will never go away. And it says that in the Bible too, right? So listen, I appreciate you all listening to episode 140. Still a little bit more time left in this year to really make it count. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in. And this is another episode of Code Freedom. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.